This is Blerina, and we are in the video series Blerina Travels in Quarantine. Today we are virtually traveling to London to meet Neil Cocker, a British entrepreneur and startup mentor who has been working across Europe, most notable in the Balkans for several years. Nice to meet you, Neil. How are you and where are you now?
I'm in Cardiff, the capital of Wales. It's very sunny and lovely here today. And yes, it's lovely to see you again, Blerina.
How is the situation of the businesses right now in the UK? What is happening due to the coronavirus crisis?
Well, I mean, I think as with most countries, most businesses are being affected. There are very few businesses who are doing okay or better. Retail, the food stores are fine because obviously everyone is going there. I bumped into a friend yesterday. He runs a website translation service, and he is having his best month ever because everyone is taking their services online and taking them international. So he's doing lots and lots of translation work. So his company is very, very busy. But generally, most businesses are in big trouble or in some kind of trouble, and the government is having to basically pay most people's wages at the moment.
You have founded several initiatives during your life. Do you remember your first business?
Yes, my first proper business was a record label. So straight out of university, myself and some friends started a record label together, kind of as a hobby, really. We were kind of DJing and writing music and running small club events. And we decided that we should launch a record label. And we thought we knew what we were doing, but we didn't. And we made lots and lots of mistakes, but because we were young and stupid and in the music industry, we had fun anyway. And it's a great lifestyle, but we didn't run it very well as a business. I think when I look back, it wasn't very organized or professional. We just had lots of fun and made it up as we went along.
How is starting over again with a new idea?
It's really scary because I think you're dealing with two different emotions at the same time. So one emotion is you're probably still dealing with the end of the previous business. So you may have decided to leave it, or you may have not had a choice and you might have been decided, it had to be closed down. I mean, there's going to be lots of businesses at the moment who we're going to lose. So you've got that kind of sadness and that confusion about your previous business, but you're also super excited about your new business. And actually, a lot of the work I do is with young new businesses. A lot of the work I did in Albania was with people who are super, super excited about a new business. And actually, the most important thing is to try and help them structure their ideas. So I'm a strong believer that there are lots of good ideas, but only some of those become good businesses. And actually the skill is taking a really good idea and turning it into a good business. And that's where I kind of work a lot of the time. And I find so many enthusiastic entrepreneurs, they're so eager and energetic to get into their new business, that into their new idea, that they forget to build a good business. And that's kind of what I'm passionate about. And that's, I think, sometimes can be a big mistake that people make because you're an entrepreneur as well, right? You kind of, when you're in that early stage, it's the most incredible feeling. You're just excited and you want to do everything all the time. And actually, sometimes you have to be, right, let's take a deep breath. Let's think, am I solving a real problem here? Is there a market? Do the customers really want what I'm selling? So, and sometimes you don't want to think about that stuff. You just want to build something really, really exciting. And that's, as entrepreneurs, we have to have a little bit of discipline. So that's the interesting thing about a new idea.
So what have been the best startup that you have supported recently? So the best business idea?
Wow. I'm just trying to think. I'll tell you one that was really, really interesting. And I still talk about it today. A young entrepreneur that I kind of dealt with a few times in Albania. And you may have come across him, and he had basically a farm with some donkeys,
Mm-hmm.
and he was selling the donkey milk, and he was looking for grants to get more donkeys to sell more donkey milk. And on the surface of this seems like a very simple idea, right? And it kind of fed into the stereotypes of Albania as a backward country, right? There's a guy, the donkey milk guy. Like, I spoke to some other like American investors and some other advisors, and we were like, "Have you met the donkey milk guy yet?" And it was like kind of not a joke, but it was like, you know. So it's really, really interesting. He would pitch at some events, and people are like, "Donkey milk," and then you realise that donkey milk is super nutritious, and they're doing trials, I think in Italy in particular, to give to premature babies, and it sells for like €50 a litre, and you're like, oh, €50 a litre, and you're like, oh, that is a really, really interesting business. And this is what I mean. It's like, that's a really interesting business. On the face of it, you might go, that sounds like a very old-fashioned kind of idea that nobody needs anymore. Who would want donkey milk? We have cows, right? We have sheep. They do all the milk stuff we need. But donkey milk has special abilities, special properties. And so that for me was particularly interesting. It made me, reminded me that we shouldn't always judge a business until you've looked at the numbers. And when I saw the numbers, I was like, oh, I get it. This could be a really exciting business.
You have recently succeeded with an innovative cold email campaign. What is a cold email campaign? Can you tell more about it?
Yeah, so very simply, one of the businesses I run is we help companies with t-shirts. So people can buy t-shirts. So if you wanted an Active Albania t-shirt, 100 Active Albania t-shirts, you come to our website, upload your design, click a button and check out. And a few weeks later, these amazing t-shirts would arrive with Active Albania on them, right? But there are quite a few companies that do this. We do some unique things and some innovative things, but it's a very, very competitive sector. So what we decided was that we wanted to try and communicate with people through cold email. So basically send them an email and say, hey, would you like to buy some t-shirts? We all get these emails. Some people call them spam, some people call them something else. But the reality is that we needed to find a way to reach out to people, right? And this was a way that we could kind of reach people free. And it's a very, very, how can I describe it? We decided we only wanted to do it if we could do it in an interesting way. And we basically, I won't tell you the whole story, but we basically built a system that allowed us to send people their own logo on a t-shirt in an email. So you would receive an email from me going, hey, Blerina, you don't know who I am, but I'm wearing your t-shirt. And there would be a picture of me wearing an Active Albania t-shirt, right? Mm-hmm. And so the reality is that's much more interesting than just getting a text email. So we managed to build this clever system that allowed us to email thousands and thousands of people and say, and everybody got a unique logo on this t-shirt, a picture of me going, hey, with their logo on it. And it was really, it made a lot of friends for us. It got written about in like 4 or 5 different languages. Yeah, it was really, really exciting. We made a lot of money out of it. And people still talk about it today. We've been doing it for a few years now, and we still get a lot of excitement about our campaign. It was really, really, and that for me was an example of how you can look at marketing and do things a little bit differently,
What is your biggest passion? Because we have talked about marketing, developing technologies or applications, helping startups, music.
My main passions are music, travel, and dogs. I love dogs. If I won the lottery tomorrow, if I had more money than I needed, I would basically open a home for dogs. So I lived in Sofia in Bulgaria for a few years, and there's lots of street dogs there. And I would love to have spent all my days just looking after the dogs there. And so I volunteered at the dogs home sometimes, and yeah, so dogs and music and travel, seeing beautiful places like Albania. You know, it was one of the joys of my life was to visit Albania. You know, it's just such an incredible country. So travel, just, you know, Albania is not like #1 in the tourism yet. It should be, but it's not yet. You know, so it was great for me to sort of to visit somewhere different that's not, you know, Rome or Berlin or, you know, the kind of usual places.
Yes, you have been for 5 weeks in Tirana.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like our capital? Tell us
Yes.
how Tirana looks in the eyes of an Englishman.
Uh-huh. I didn't know what to expect, because obviously, as you know, Albania has a certain reputation, and it's not always a positive reputation. But I was excited because, you know, I was looking forward to just going somewhere different. And honestly, I thought it was the friendliest place, the friendliest city I've ever visited. I've never been anywhere where I was treated so warmly by everybody. I really, really loved it. And it's everything that, you know, it was the opposite of what some people had told me. Obviously, there are still issues there with it sort of recovering from that period of history that is still so recent, right? You know, it's still, that stuff takes generations to solve. So you don't get away from the conditions under Hoxha's dictatorship. That takes, you know, a long time. But I loved it. I found the people really, really friendly and fun. And I found it unique and interesting. It was just great to go somewhere that was different, that I know, you know, so few people have been before. You know, didn't know anybody who'd been to Albania before. So it was just really, really exciting. And then when I got to go to the Albanian Alps and trek from Theth, I can't remember where I started.
Theth to Valbona?
Valbona to Theth, yes, or what? Yes, and that was just one of the most beautiful places I've ever visited in my life. It was just astonishingly beautiful. I loved it so much.
Talking about reputation, you have been one of the advisors of the digital tourism campaign we developed last year, Be Taken by Albania. Now, tell, how did you find the streaming of the campaign and the reaction of the public after watching the video?
Yeah, that was really, really interesting. Because with these campaigns, it's really, really difficult to know how they're going to be received, right? You know, you just don't know whether what you were trying to do was quite ambitious and quite interesting and exciting. And I think those kind of marketing campaigns for me are the most fun, because they kind of become something that you're not expecting. You never really know where they're going to go, right? It's like the cold email campaign. You know, I never expected that it was going to get written about in 5 different languages. You know, I'd given talks about that campaign in 4 or 5 different countries, but I could never have imagined that when I first started, you know. So I thought it was a really brilliant idea. I loved it. It was interesting to see all the press over the following weeks. And, you know, there's that old kind of saying of like, there's no such thing as bad press, right? Because it made people talk about Albania in a way they haven't talked about before. And, you know, thousands and thousands of people watched footage of Albania that maybe had never even thought about it before. And I had some people email me after they saw the campaign in a newspaper, on a website, say, hey, have you seen this? You've been to Albania. I was like, yeah, I kind of know a little bit about this campaign. It's, you know, and yeah, I just found it really exciting to see people talk about a country that they wouldn't normally talk about in that way. And I think it was, to get that much coverage is, you know, countries spend hundreds of thousands of pounds to get coverage like that. And, you know, it's like, how many times have you been on an airplane and flicked through a magazine or saw an advert that said, hey, visit Thailand or visit Malaysia or visit France or whatever, and you go, oh yeah, nice, it's a nice photo, blah, blah, blah. But that never changes your mind, right? The thing that changes your mind, particularly with tourism, is when a friend says to you and looks you in the eyes like, you have to go to Albania. It was one of the most amazing experiences of my life, right? And that's what I do when I speak to people. I've got friends who want to visit now because of the experiences that I had. And that's more persuasive than these very glossy campaigns. But I think what your campaign did that was really interesting was it made people talk about Albania in a way that a normal campaign wouldn't. Like if you saw an advert for like Visit Malaysia, you wouldn't turn to your partner and say, hey, that's an interesting advert, should we go to Malaysia? But I bet you lots of people were talking about the Be Taken by Albania campaign. So yeah, for me, I thought it was a great success. I mean, you know, these things are difficult to measure because obviously, you know, you have to wait for the tourism numbers to come in and all that kind of stuff. But I'm sure it kept you very busy for several months.
Yes, we still receive comments on YouTube Be Taken by Albania video and emails by different internationals that say, oh,
wow,
it's amazing, we are going to visit Albania soon. And I think that, yes, the fact that it was such provocative, fighting a stereotype, leads to 2 million views and 18
amazing.
international articles that wrote it about Albania.
Wow.
All of them said that, yes, Albania is a beautiful country, all the debates and the discussion that opened it. So, as a creative digital consultant, do you have any advice for tourism entrepreneurs? How they should deal with this difficult period of coronavirus? Tourism is one of the most damaged industries in the world.
It's very, very difficult. I mean, I think the really difficult thing here is that nobody knows how long this is going to go on for. Nobody knows what the damage will be long term. And I think the only thing that businesses like tourism businesses can do at this stage is keep their customers engaged so that when the world goes back, or at least returns into some kind of normality. And how you keep people engaged depends on how you normally communicate with your customers. That could be, you know, through social media, it could be through emails, it could be through your website. I mean, there's no reason why you can't keep people engaged. It just, and you know, in fact, there's a lot of arguments to say that people will be spending more time online looking at things to do once they're done. So I have 2 laptops, and on my second screen here, when I'm not using it, I have been playing 4K, like really high definition, beautiful footage from drones of jungles and islands and places that you could visit. So I'm still engaging with places that I could visit in the future, that I want to visit in the future. So yeah, I think there's a real opportunity to be the number one place. You know, it's like, well, alphabetically, you win this one. Like if people are going to decide where to go next, everyone wants to travel straight away. Okay, Albania is right at the top. It's an A. You know, so you gotta try and find a way to keep people engaged and keep them coming back. And whether it's Albania or Italy, and Italy will have Italy has a different problem, right? Because they're seen as one of the places where coronavirus was particularly dangerous. So finding a way to combat that will be difficult. People might find places like Albania that they see as a bit more adventurous, might be like, hey, I'm not going to Italy because everyone goes to Italy. And also, you know, coronavirus, I'm going to go to Albania. I might be dead tomorrow. It might make everyone a bit more crazy and adventurous. So hopefully they go whitewater rafting in Albania, which is something they would not have done before. They might have just gone and sat on a beach in southern Spain, which is like the world's most boring holiday. So.
What is then the first place that you will visit after the quarantine?
I think the first place I'm going to visit is every friend's house that I know. I'm going to hug them for 10 minutes until it's really awkward for both of us. And then I have a cup of tea and then I'll leave. And I'm just going to do that around about 100 people's houses. And then, you know what? I haven't thought about exactly where I'd like to go. I think Albania would be, I didn't get down to the south of Albania. Albania would definitely be on my list. Asia, I think I would like to go to Asia. Somewhere like Sri Lanka has recently become somewhere I'm quite interested in. Yeah, there's a lot of places. I mean, because I traveled so much for the previous couple of years, you know, I lived in Bulgaria, so I spent a lot of time in Macedonia and Serbia and Albania and, you know, a lot of time in the Balkans. I kind of felt like I got a lot of my travel habits, you know, dealt with because I was living in a unique country and traveling to other unique countries. So when I came back to the UK about a year ago, I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to go anywhere for a while. So I did, you know, I had to go to Bosnia and Spain and some other places, but I didn't feel the need to travel as much. But now I really do. So yeah, and maybe somewhere really adventurous that nobody else is. So maybe like the very north of Norway or the mountains of Albania again. Maybe I'll just take a load of friends. I think that's what I want to do. I want to travel with friends again. Because I've been traveling on my own for a long time. So friends, take friends somewhere adventurous.
Thank you, Neil. You and your friends are very welcome to visit Albania. You know, Blerina Travels in quarantine is made possible thanks to Active Albania. The very first comment coming now in Facebook, Instagram, YouTube link will win a sunset hiking and snorkeling in the wild bay of Kroros in the Albanian South Riviera. So you need to comment now. Thank you also to Swiss Entrepreneurship Program and to Women Founders Network in Albania for their support. Looking forward to meet you soon and hug you soon as well.
Yes.
Goodbye. Stay safe and take care.
Thanks, Blerina.